Revelation 3144. From the 2nd of June 1944. Unwritten law. Love grows cold. It is an unwritten law that people should stand by each other, that the strong should help the weak, that need and misery should be alleviated, and that everyone should distribute what he possesses if the other lacks it. And this unwritten law is no longer obeyed because it is not sanctioned by earthly power. People only fulfill what is compulsorily demanded of them, and this is not a work of neighborly love, even though it is supposed to represent works of love. Only what a person does out of innermost impulse, out of a feeling of deepest love and mercy towards his fellow human being, can be regarded as a work of neighborly love by God. But people lack this inner drive because they no longer know love. And even if they are required to help their fellow human beings, these are still works which lack the right guiding principle. It is love which is practiced according to law, not love as God has demanded of people, as it should be in order to form God-like people who find union with God. And yet this law is placed in people's hearts by God. For every person knows how he should act in order to live a God-pleasing life on earth. Yet the inner voice which impels him to do so is hushed up, it is not heard, and its admonition sounds ever softer until it completely falls silent. And even if God's servants preach love to people, whether they are reproached with the blessing or harm of their way of life, they also ignore these admonitions. They are only concerned about their own well-being and pass by their fellow human being's hardship, his weakness and helplessness unmoved. Their inner being is dead, the spark of love is stifled, they fall into unkindness and hatred and are capable of all actions which harm their fellow human being's body and soul. This is a state which will not change for the better. If God does not forcibly make himself known, if he does not let his voice sound so loudly that fear and horror will turn people and they will now seriously think about themselves and their way of life. For they do not listen to the voice of believers and do not find their way back to the path of love by themselves. And that is why God himself appears, because he does not want to let people get lost who only need a push to reflect on themselves. Love must not be switched off in life or humanity will go towards complete ruin. For if love grows cold, God is endlessly distant from the being he let arise from his love. But unkindness deprives the being of all strength, and thus people head towards the abyss, towards destruction, if they disregard love, which is the original substance of the divine work of creation. Where love does not exist, God cannot dwell. But God is the sustainer of all things, and without him and his strength his works of creation dissolve. Thus also the earth and with it every creature, as soon as love disappears from it, as soon as the human being has become so unloving that God withdraws his love from him, who, as pure love, can only be where love is. Amen.